Let's try this again. Hey, how's it? It is right around 5 p.m. West Coast time. I'm going to call it 2 p.m. Hawaiian time, 8 p.m. on the East Coast, and 7 p.m. for our Central Time folk. I am Mad Statter today, and this is Chatter with Statter. Oh my goodness, for just a second, I thought we were going to have a repeat of No Mic Monday or whatever it was last week. But this time it was just a simple muting action. Yes. That was my best opening speech ever. Yes, it was. And I've been told by more than one person very recently, you just need to shut up. And I'm thinking perhaps the technology has gotten word of that as well. So here we are, 5 p.m.-ish, and off to a roaring broadcast quality start. All right, so Pussycat in the house, Nicola T in the house, Terry in Scotland, Rick, and we've got Michael Anthony Smith, we've got Pinnell, we've got Shock, and Darlene, and let's see here, who else do we have? We've got Pinnell, although I think I might have said Pinnell, but then again, I don't think I said Pinnell, so I'm going to say Pinnell another time just to make sure that I said Pinnell. Hey, Pinnell, how's it? All right, let's see here. Streaming, scrolling all the way to the top. We have got the Terrys and the Scotlands, and then we've got the Darlenes, and we've got the Everybodies and Pinnells, and Mama Sean, there we go. I knew I missed a name somewhere in there. Let's see here. Who else did I miss in case I missed anybody? I didn't miss Michael Anthony Smith, but I'm going to say Michael Anthony Smith's name again just because. And we've got Pinnell subscribing. Thank you so much, Pinnell, for that over 5-year prescription. And Michael Anthony Smith, you do not need to shut up. I'm gonna say I appreciate your words of support without a doubt, Michael Anthony Smith. I am on your side of the argument. However, I have to say, there are several people in this world who do not agree with you. Thank you so much for the 1,000 biddies, Terry. And it looks like we've got Trail Dust in the house as well. So why don't we get the Black Cat intro started, and then we'll talk about what we have to talk about today, which is a whole lot of not much of anything, which means sometimes that's the best way to go. So let's get started on chaos, shall we? All right, there we go. And Michael Anthony Smith, I love your attitude. They need to shut up. Honestly, you don't know what you're talking about, but the thing is you're totally 100% right. The two of the 3 people who've recently told me I talk way too much actually talk more than I do. And so it's just like, I really feel like you're looking in the mirror here, but okay, whatever. Now, the other person, they were trying to be helpful, so I'll give them some grace on that. But the other 2 people, it's just like, have you ever listened to yourself? Like, what? But anyway, one finger pointed one way, 3 fingers pointed back at yourself, right? That's what I always try to remember is every time I'm pointing a finger at somebody, take a look in the mirror, my friend, because you might be looking at yourself. All right, so let's see here. What are we going to talk about today? Really good question. And honestly, I don't really know. But what I do know is the robots are out of control. Okay? Robots, they're out of control. And and let's see here. Oh, Michael Anthony Smith, that's so sweet. But we've got 2 stories out of China that took place literally within the last week. Okay? We have a bad robot and good robot gone bad? It's so hard to say. What I am going to say is one of the robots literally got arrested. What? All right, let's see if we can manipulate this. So we've got this robot, as you can see. Pinnell, I was always told to smile. Once I said I have nothing to smile about back. I've got a story about that, Pinnell, but first let's talk about arresting the robot. So, so this particular, wait, why can't I, oh, dang it, I want to interact with this. Oh, here we go. Okay, so, all right, so, here, let's see if I can do this. There. So the robot was following an elderly lady. She noticed that the robot had suddenly appeared behind her after stopping to check her phone. She screamed and yelled at him, telling him, "Why are you following me? You're making my heart race. You're being bad. You could be so useful, but you just do this trash." And then they had to take her to the hospital because she was startled so badly. And the bad robot was arrested and then returned to its owner. So that's what happened in China with one of the bad robots, right? Do robots need special cuffs? Trail Dust, good question, because here's the deal. This was the bad robot. This was the good robot. And it took three employees to tackle the good robot. The good robot in the restaurant, also in China, lost its bloody flippin' mind. Hey, Midnight Frequency Radio, we're talking about bad robots and good robots. And this robot, as you can see, even though it's being tackled to the ground for bad behavior, it is clearly a good robot. It's wearing an apron that says, "I'm good." So the robot is a good robot, right? But apparently the robot lost its bloody mind when it was doing some sort of robot dance, some sort of dance in the middle of the restaurant that ended up with him smashing tables, throwing chairs, breaking silverware and dishes, and generally causing huge mayhem. And here's the deal, dude. Nobody could stop him because they had to get their... This thing was out of control for so long. It took multiple people to to calm it down. It had to be, as you can see in the middle picture, it had to be like rolled away by the scruff of its neck. And you can maybe see in the far right-hand picture, the lady in red, she's got a phone in her hand. And the reason why she's got a phone in her hand is because that is how you access the robot's control panel, through an app on the phone. Now, I gotta say, given these two different things, especially the good robot, doesn't it make sense to have like an emergency off button? You know how like at the gas stations, there's an emergency button to stop all the gas flow and things like that? I feel like maybe if you tase the robot, do you blow its circuit breaker? Good question, Puzzy. Or how about this? Install a power button on the thing to just turn the thing off in an emergency situation. And did someone override it? Yeah, eventually they were able to. I think the thing was, it got so out of control that the higher priority quickly became, instead of manually, finding the app and blah, 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 it became a urgent need to just physically restrain the robot in as much quickly of a fashion and take it out of the restaurant, because it was busting everything up. I mean, it was on a spree of... It was on a mayhem spree. I don't know if you guys heard, but over about $250,000 worth of damage was done at the Chihuly Glass Museum this last weekend. And basically, this robot could have done so much more damage at the Chihuly Museum than the one guy did with just its little "I'm good" dance in that restaurant. It was out of control, apparently. And so how they eventually tamed it, I don't know. I can only assume that they eventually found the controls Or I don't know. Or maybe they tased it or dumped water on it to short circuit it. I don't know. But what I do know is this is a perfect example of why we need a quick, easy override on the robot button. We need a, switch it off now, emergency override, stop this crazy thing, Jane, I want to get off kind of override. And hey, aloha, Misty, good to see you. We're talking about robots that went crazy this weekend. And they were all... yes, exactly. The dance robot could have poked a diner in the eye with its moves. Exactly. It could have done a lot of things. And, but remember, the dance robot was the good robot. The dance robot is the one who did the most damage and actually caused destruction. But it was the good robot because it said so on its apron. I'm good. So never believe a robot's apron because even the good ones might go bad. And honestly, though, the headline for it is what got me because it said, restaurant working robot, throws fit, blah, blah, blah. And at first, I thought, honestly, the headline made me think that I didn't think it was a dance robot. I thought it was one of those server robots, that, bring the food. And I thought that, because I know how people are in restaurants, and I didn't know this was China, I sort of assumed it was America. And I just jumped to the conclusion that the robot got so sick of people's crap and how awful diners are and treat their waitstaff that even the robot lost its bloody flippin' mind. Now, that's not at all what happened, but the headline made me think that, and it made me laugh. Because sometimes, you hear nightmare stories of customers in restaurants, and I wouldn't be surprised if one day we do end up getting robot servers in restaurants, that some restaurant will absolutely, or some restaurant goer, some diner at a restaurant will do something that will make the robot lose its bloody mind. And once a robot loses its bloody mind, we already know what it can do when it's in a good mood. We already know what a good robot can do when it's just dancing. It's not even angry. It's a good robot. It's dancing. It's doing what it was programmed to do. It wasn't doing it well, but it was doing what it was programmed to do. And it still turned bad. So we have a robot at El Apococo that brings salsa and dip to the tables. Right, exactly, Carl, Midnight Frequency Radio. That's exactly it. I mean, robots are already part of the server sphere. So one day, I won't be surprised once AI gets just a little bit more developed, that AI operating devices they might get in a mood one day. And I don't have time, You're about ready to blow my fuse, says the good robot. And at that point, you should listen. Your mom used to maybe say, I'm about ready to blow a fuse. And as a general rule, you knew either to get the heck out of the room or to push the button and and suffer the consequences. With a robot, though, they're just machines and they're stronger. Why don't you just not push the button? And if you're going to push the button, just push the off button. And Pinnell, see, there you go. AI chat already gets in moods, I hear. Precisely. We're already there. It's not even that far from here. We're already there, right? So yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. I don't really know the answer to the most important question that I've seen so far on the chat, which is, how much do you tip a robot server? Exactly, dude. How much do you tip a robot server? And if you don't tip them, what are they going to do to you? Because they are stronger than you. They're machines, okay? They are stronger than you. I promise you, they are stronger than you. They are literally made of plastic and steel. The plastic, not so strong. The steel, little bit. So, yeah, tip the robot well, or we will suffer the consequences. I think that is exactly the truth. And The robot could refuse service. Oh my God, Coca-Cola Tea. That's such a perfect dad joke. That is exactly it. And robots don't have bank accounts. Well, now, Shock, I don't doubt that the robots don't have bank accounts, but the owners of said robots do. Oh my God, that's exactly what we should do, Puzzycat. We should create a cryptocurrency only intended to tip robot workers, and we'll call it Botcoin. That's actually maybe a strangely good idea. The owners should get their butts into the dining room and take care of customers. Oh, well, silly kitten, that's not how that works. Although actually that's not true. It does sometimes work. In fact, last night I was at my bar, and for dinner, the owner gave me a big plate of food for free. Granted, it was the crew meal, but oh my God, dude, it was just like a cabbage and meat. And let me be very clear. It was meat. Okay? What kind of meat? I don't know. When I asked them what it was, they said meat. Okay? So it was meat. It's made of meat. And it was good meat. It was good meat. I don't know what kind of meat it was, dudes. I don't know. It wasn't beef. I do know that. But it was delicious. The sauce was delicious. The cabbage was delicious. I left with a full belly and no money out of my pocket for the food. Beautiful, beautiful. It wasn't stewed meat. It was... She said it was ground meat, but... Yeah, see, this is where lost in translation happens, dude. It wasn't... I mean... Look, man, I don't know what I ate. It could have been rabbit. It could have been possum. It could have been cat. It could have been dog. It could have been chicken. It could have been pork. It could have been goat. It probably wasn't goat. I don't think it was mutton, because I know what mutton tastes like, and that's not it. It could have been a bunch of different things. It could have been a bunch of different things ground up together. Hence the meat, because it's not just one kind of meat. It's all of the meats. I don't know. I don't know. It was tasty meat. That's what I do know. It might have been a squirrel. I don't know. Meat used to just mean food. Right, yeah. And honestly, like I said, with the translate, look, the owner doesn't speak English as a first language. She barely speaks it as a second language. So conversations with her are a little bit difficult to get real nuance, but I do know it was meat. Oh my God, Coca-Cola Tea. That's hysterical. We were about to walk into a bougie burger place. Mr. P asked where they sourced their beef. The host said, cows. We walked away. Look, man, at any other burger joint, that answer would have been perfectly acceptable and kind of funny. But if you are trying to be a bougie burger place, which is already like a stretch, then you better get your bouge on to prove that this is a bougie burger place. I need to know if it's Wagyu beef. I need to know if it's Kobe beef. I need to know if the Kobe was sourced in the States or if it was real from Japan. I need to know if it's top sirloin. I need to know if it's ribeye. I need to know if it's an 80-20 blend. I need to know if it's a 75-25 blend. I need to know all of the things, and you as a server and or host should be well aware that these are burger questions that people have. Dude, Zippy's Giant Burgers, if you asked them about where you source where they source their meat, anybody who worked behind the counter could have told them, our butcher is this. Every day we grind, X number 30 pounds of 80-20 chuck steak mixed with blah, 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 blah. I mean, they had the ratio, and they would tell you exactly what is in that burger because it got ground that day. In fact, the dude in the back probably was the one who ground it. So, you know, if you're gonna be, and Zippy's was not a bougie burger place, okay? Bougie burger places don't have fast food memorabilia on the wall and pinball and video games. So, Zippy's, not even a bougie place, and even they could tell you a lot about their meat because they were very proud of it. And so if you gonna be bougie, you better be bougie all the way. And if you can't fake bougie, Zippy's was good though. Absolutely. Zippy's was very good. Zippy's was, I mean, honestly, with the quality of product that Zippy's had, they could have pretended to be a bougie place right and left because their product quality was awesome. But they had no comeuppance. And Pussycat, you're not the only one having a cow. I'm having a cow, man. I mean, just hearing that a bougie burger place can't even tell you where their beef is coming from shows that they are all fake. They are a fake bougie place. Yeah, it was bougie and the prices showed they were really proud of their product. Right, but they don't even know where their product was. And yeah, exactly, Rick. Caught the guy at a tough place. The truth. Exactly. And, oh, okay, no, Michael Anthony Smith. When I say Zippy's Giant Burgers, I meant Zippy's Giant Burgers. It's a Seattle. It was one location in Seattle. Now, Zippy's, which is why I say Zippy's Giant Burgers to differentiate from Zippy's. Zippy's also has, I've never had their hamburgers, but their chili is damn good. I love the Zippy's chili. Zippy's Giant Burgers didn't have chili. So I was confused for a second. But yeah, I was also wondering, how did you know that Zippy's was so good? Were you in Seattle? But Andre can attest that Zippy's was good. Yeah, wrong Zippy's for you, but still same idea in the sense that, like, you know, they could probably tell you where their meat comes from too if you went to a Zippy's. And I think we can all agree the Zippy's in Hawaii is not a bougie burger place at all. I mean, their bakery is kind of bougie. Now that I think about it, but their burgers are not bougie. And are we going to talk about food today? Trail Dust, when do we not talk about food? We almost always talk about food, especially when we don't have much to talk about. And honestly, this last week I've been doing so much work, I've kind of not been doing any pre-production work for the streams. So there's a whole lot of, well, we could sort of talk about that. And let's see here. Picola tea. Oh my God, wait, hold on. Okay, so many things. First off, Pussycat, you go get that propane so you can cook your cows. Second off, Kix for cereal dinner. Kix cereal for dinner. Aloha Misty. That's a blast from the past. I didn't even know they still made Kix. Now I'm craving Kix. But the most important thing of all, Picola tea. Are you kidding me? Or the time that Seattle place couldn't tell us what kind of salmon they were serving? I have questions, and I'm sure you don't have answers because they didn't. But my first question is, Atlantic or Pacific? My second question is, wild caught or farmed? And you better at least have an answer to one of these scenarios. And if it's farmed, the answer is no, I don't want it. But for real, what in the Flying Fork? How can you, A, be in Seattle and serve salmon and not know what kind of salmon it is? And B, be in Seattle and not know what kind of salmon it is? No. No. I'm not a fan. I don't know where these places were. Quality, if you can remember, if you or Mr. P can remember where that salmon place was in Seattle, I would like to know, because I would like to spread bad things about that business. Truthful bad things. The only bad thing I'd spread is they don't even know what kind of salmon they're serving. And in this location, that's enough to make people go, no thank you. So there you have it. You've had one salmon, you've had them all. Oh no. Oh, Pussycat, them be fighting words. I'm not gonna get in a fight with you, but them be fighting words, okay? And actually, it was somewhere near Puyallup. Don't know the name. Still no excuse. Even less of an excuse as far as I'm concerned. Puyallup is native land. Puyallup is indigenous territory. Indigenous folks know they salmon, okay? So if it was, I find it even more offensive that it was Puyallup, frankly. And Pussycat, well, first off, Atlantic salmon are completely different species than Pacific salmon. Second off, Atlantic salmon, when caught or when served on the West Coast, are generally West Coast raised in a farm. Farm-raised salmon have a completely different nutritional profile than the wild-caught counterparts. Wild-caught counterparts have a completely different flavor profile and texture to them. King, coho, and well, you've got the Chinook, you've got the coho, you've got the silver, the pink. Let's see, the humpback. I can't remember which one the humpback is. There's so many different colloquial names, but all of those, Pussycat, sockeye is one of the prized. That's the bright red one, the sockeye. People love their sockeye. But all of those salmons that you just mentioned are all West Coast Pacific salmons. The salmon that you get on the East Coast is Atlantic salmon. That's the same kind of salmon they get in like England, right? And so different fish entirely, although similar enough that if you don't know the nuances, Atlantic salmon is passable for West Coast salmon. And then in regards to all of the different salmons on the West Coast, I can't speak to the varieties of Atlantic salmon. I'm sure there are multiple varieties, but the ones on the West Coast of the United States, you've got your sockeye, you've got your coho, you've got your Chinook, you've got your something, I think it's the silver, but I can't remember. You've got 4 or 5 basic ones. You've got your chum, your dog face one. I like those. You've got your pinks, your humpies. And all of those have a slightly different flavor. The silver salmon, of course, being the silver salmon being the lightest in flesh color, closer to a white than a pink, and it also is the mildest in flavor. And then you go up the color scale to eventually the sockeye, which is the bright, super, super red flesh. The fish is not only red on the outside, the skin, but the flesh itself is incredibly red. And it has the strongest, oiliest fish, fattiest flavor. It is, for me, my least favorite salmon. But for those of you who love it, for those of the people who love it, there are fishermen who will literally trade. Like, I will trade you 50 pounds of Chinook for 10 pounds of sockeye. Like, that is how much they covet that sockeye. So they're totally, they are actually very different in their flavor profiles and textures. Fluffy refused to eat pink salmon. She only ate sockeye. There you go. And the pink salmon is considered like the lowliest. Those are the humpies. And honestly, I kind of like the pink salmon the best. I would say that the pink salmon is probably as close to Atlantic salmon as the West Coast gets, flavor-wise. But in regards to texture, the West Coast salmon, being wild caught, is always so much firmer. Farm caught salmon, for me, the texture is really mushy and I just don't like it. So Pacola T, thumb, that's the chum and dog. I don't mind that. Index, that's sockeye or red. I don't like that. Middle, that's king and Chinook. Ring, I've never heard it referred to as ring. That's the silver / coho. And then pinky, yeah, the pinky is the humpback. And so there you go, you guys. This is a little bit of an offshoot of the who knew we were going to talk about salmon. I wish I I wish I had, some pictures to go along with it. What is steelhead like compared to rainbow trout? Well, a shit ton bigger, pardon my French. Way bigger. Way bigger. Way bigger. And, I haven't had a lot of rainbow trout, so I'm not an expert. But rainbow trout, usually, all the ones I've ever had, are a very white, delicate fish. Very white. Whereas steelhead their flesh is a little bit pink. It's mostly, trail dust. Careful what y'all ask for, y'all, because I did have a whole salmon show many years ago, and I can dig it back up. All the maps, all the stuffuses. But no, I don't have a salmon map today. But the steelhead though, yeah, much bigger than a trout. And okay, before I go into this, for those of you who don't know, a steelhead is a trout. But it is a trout that goes, like a salmon, goes out to the salt water and then comes back in to spawn. And on the flip side, there are salmon in this world, in this area, that don't ever go out, to the ocean to the ocean and come back. They stay in local freshwaters their whole life. The salmon that stay in local freshwaters their whole life are called kokanee salmon. Trout, general regular trout, they also stay in freshwater their whole life. Steelhead trout, often called steelhead salmon, they are not. They're steelhead trout. They make their way out to the ocean like salmon and then come back in. Consequently, they're way bigger, they're way stronger, and their meat is much firmer than the rainbow trouts that never leave the fresh water. To me, a steelhead is almost a perfect combination of, in both taste and texture, to a halibut fillet and a salmon fillet. So if you can kind of mind meld a halibut salmon in your brain, to me that is what a steelhead tastes like. And let's see here. The rainbows in Alaska are bigger, good fighters. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Both are salmon, and trout are considered salmonoids. I thought that. Okay, I didn't think that. I have a different understanding. The steelhead trout is considered a salmonoid, but a trout itself is considered a salmonoid? Salmonoid, whatever. Interesting. Well, what do you know? I did not know that. I always thought that the trouts were trouts. And if they did go out to the ocean, then they were considered the salmonid. But a little knowledge is a dangerous thing, and I am a case study in that. So if you swam to the ocean and back, I would be firmer? Probably. Trail dust, you probably would be firmer. And you might have a little bit more concentrated fat content to keep you warm in them there waters. But you'd still be firmer. Have you seen, okay, let me just ask you this, Trail Dust. Have you ever seen a flabby swimmer outside of the whales? Outside of the whale population. In the human form, have you ever seen a flabby swimmer? Flab floats, but it don't swim much. Exactly, Shock. They float. Yeah. I honestly, when I lost, because I grew up as a fat girl, right? And I lost a bunch of weight in my early 20s. And I always thought that I knew how to swim. As it turns out, once I was not fat enough to just float randomly, I didn't really know how to swim. Oops. Okay, so Terry coming in with info that is helpful to this conversation. The family includes salmon, both Atlantic and Pacific, trout, both ocean-going and landlocked. Wait, hold on. Char, graylings, freshwater whitefishes, taimans, and lennox, all cold water mid-level predatory fish that inhabit the subarctic and cool temperature waters of the northern hemisphere. So it's the salmon family? Or what's the family, Terry? It's the salmonid family that includes the salmons, the trouts. So if it's the salmonid family, then I don't know if a trout is a salmon. It's a salmonid, but not necessarily a salmon. You know how like a square is a rectangle? No. Yeah. A square is a rectangle, and a square, but it's not a rectangle is not always a square. I don't think. Yeah, I definitely don't know what I'm talking about now. The salmonids, yes. The salmonids. The Simpsons, yes. Homer and Marge salmonid. That is exactly it. All right, so we've got about 4 minutes left till our Lono listening break. The Samsons, exactly. The Salmonsons. So we've got about 4 minutes left till a Lono listening break, and to answer this question that's going to happen, because I'm sure it will happen, no, this song has nothing to do with salmon. So this song that I chose for today's listening break has nothing to do with anything we're talking about, because I didn't know what we were going to talk about, so couldn't really plan for chaos. I mean, it's always good to plan for chaos, but it's kind of hard to plan for chaos. Speaking of chaos, look who's here. Hey, Lady Tie-Dyed, good to see you. We are randomly talking about anything and everything today. It has so far been food related. Hamburgers and salmon would be the two main topics. We might have covered other stuff too, but I'm not going to tell you what it was because I can't really remember. So there you're going to have it. And if somebody else can remember what the flying fork it is we talked about earlier, well then by all means, fill her in. Fill us both in, okay? So, let's see here. Do I have anything funny and quick? Oh yeah, that's right, we did. We talked about Zippy's, both Zippy's Giant Burgers and Hawaii's Zippy's. That's right. And, oh hey, we can talk about this for just a quick second. So, because I did the review of the Big Arch the other last week or whatever at McDonald's had sort of been on my mind, and I suddenly got here. Oh, right, we were talking about robots that got arrested and escorted out of the facilities. Out of control robots. That's right. Oh, and that's right, Picola T. Yesterday was St. Patrick's Day. And oddly enough, I hadn't even made this connection, but yesterday for lunch, I actually, oddly enough, did celebrate St. Patrick's Day with the Filet-O-Fish. I had a hankering for Filet-O-Fish, and I don't know if you guys eat or even are aware of Filet-O-Fishes. Lots of people seem to have really bad ideas about Filet-O-Fishes. When I get in the mood for one, I kind of like them. There's nothing like them except for them, so if you're in the mood for one of those, and it didn't even occur to me that the O-Fish was kind of St. Patrick's Day oriented, so I celebrated with the Filet-O-Fish. And Michael Smith, you like them too? Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, that was what my sister used to always get, because she didn't like hamburgers. Now I, as a child and as an adult, still don't understand how anybody doesn't like a hamburger, but I do enjoy a Filet-O-Fish now and again. And, yeah. And so, my Filet-O-Fish, or my Irish celebration was the Filet-O-Fish. Yes, there we go. And also, I wore green socks. Did anybody else get pinched yesterday from not wearing green? Is that something that we do as adults? I feel like we do, even though I have never pinched anyone or gotten pinched, but I remember in elementary school, that was the whole thing, right? Maybe not your school. Was it just my school? You had to wear green, otherwise you'd get pinched. Oh my God, do you think that they don't let that happen anymore? Okay, couple questions before we do Lono listening break. Did y'all in school growing up have the little, if you're not wearing green, you're gonna get pinched game on St. Patrick's Day? Was that a thing? Take a filet of fish and a hamburger patty. Yes, surf and turf. Yeah, there you go, Michael Anthony Smith. Who says you can't be bougie at McDonald's? Okay, so Michael Anthony Smith, yes, pinch, blah, 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 plint. Yes, okay. So my school was not the only one, at least, that did this. Now, second question, and people who have grandkids maybe will be able to tell us this, or people who have children in school. Do they, Bucolite, oh sure, I still get pinched by family members to this day, perfect, but do they let, and yes, you did, okay, everybody else had, lots of people had these, trailed us, no pinches, really? Okay. That makes me sad. And Pinnell, really never heard of pinching on St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, in elementary school, junior high, high school, I mean, pretty much it's just it's sort of like I'm trying to figure out, like, is it an adult thing still? I don't really know. But in school, on St. Patrick's Day, you were supposed to wear some kind of green. And the thing is if you were not wearing green, you got to be pinched. But if you pinched somebody who was wearing green, they got to, like, pinch you 10 times back, or, like, punch you, or I don't remember. It was a game, and it was a bit of a, like, if you got it wrong, there was consequences. And so a lot of times, people would be like, "Ooh, I'm wearing green socks. You didn't see the green, but I'm wearing green." Anyway, so that's roughly how the game went. But I'm wondering, in today's era of no bullying, no touching, no roughhousing, no be nice to everybody, I'm wondering if that game has been forbidden. Because as Picola T just pointed out, there's a lot of stuff we used to do in school that would get us suspended today. And so I do wonder, like, is that pinching tradition forbidden these days in school? My school, we would just punch back. Right, there you go. And Pussycats is like, don't, you'll get arrested. Exactly, that's what I'm kind of wondering. Like, it is really the most innocent of things, and yet I'd be willing to bet we're not allowed to do that anymore. And Pinnell, interesting, we were only supposed to wear green if Irish in us. Oh, right. Well, see, Pinnell, that's logical. You have to understand, here in the United States, on St. Patrick's Day, everybody's Irish. Equality. No. We even had a senior auction each year. Unthinkable today. Now, Picola T, here's my question. Was it only girls that were sluts? Or were they auctioning off boy sluts too? Because there are boy sluts. And so if it was equal opportunity senior sluts, or was it just... You said it, Shock, not me. All right, now it's time for our Lono listening talk. It's time for our Lono listening break. How about that?
aina nani ke ia Whaho maha ho mana wapono Lokai mahalo ke akua Alawa i ka malie Puana kuahiwi He aina nani ke ia Nana ulu ka mauaua Ke olo ewa ka opepe Ka lani ehu Kane hoa lani Kaya kea Ke ku eli ke ka akau Maka veli veli Pelua ka ili ohe Halava i ka malie Puana kuahiwi He aina nani ke ia Me molokai nui ahina Me molokai nui ahina He aina nani ke ia
If you enjoy what you heard, check us out at www.lonomusic.com. Aloha.
All right, there you go. So yes, Penel, you are reading The Legend of Kaupe'epe'e. Well, you know, I got to tell you, I haven't read that one in a while, but it's a good one. It is, if for all y'all who aren't familiar, Kaupe'epe'e is was a warrior chief who, I don't remember if he was on Molokai or if he was on Maui. I want to say Maui, but I don't remember that detail. Anyway, he stole the wife of another chief and all hell broke loose. The story of Kaupe'epe'e is incredibly warrior filled and the like, and it's awesome. But at the heart of it all, he was on Molokai, okay. But at the heart of it all, it is it's a romantic love story. And Penel, if you haven't finished it, that might have been a spoiler. If you finished it, you might understand what I'm saying. That being said, my interpretation of the story, when I told that to someone else, I believe it was Shock, she was just like, I did not read it that way. So everyone's got their own opinions on what that story is about. I thought it was romantic. I thought it was a romantic love story. I mean, it was a brutal romantic love story where everyone dies, but I still thought it was romantic. Okay? But either way, Kaupe'epe'e, smart, fierce man. Definitely a story to look up if you want to learn about it. It's an interesting read. And let's see here. Don't mess with my woman, and if you do, there's going to be a price to pay. Well, right, but Darlene, the question is, whose woman was she? Or rather, which one did the woman love more? She might have belonged to one, but loved the other one more. Hard for say. And so, Kama'awa was the powerful chief of Molokai. He was a descendant from the first migration. Is Kama'awa the same as Kaupe'epe'e? His eldest son. There we go. I was like, I don't really. Yeah, okay, there we go. Yes. And his eldest son was Kaupe'epe'e. He grew up hating the aggressors. Exactly. His father taught him from an early age, never give up. And yes, Kaupe'epe'e succeeded his right to be chief of Molokai to his younger brother. And Shuck, exactly, she was her own woman, or should have been, true. But yeah, there was, and yes, exactly, I would not have wanted to be a Hawaiian woman in those days, absolutely. But at the end of it all, at the end of the story, at the end of the day, after everyone dies, the lady in question, her son realizes what has just happened. And her son is heartbroken over it. So there you go. And so here we go. Kaupe'epe'e got a news of a woman of great beauty who lived in Hilo. Her name was Hina, and she was the wife of Hakalanaleo, the chief of Hilo. Hina's mother, Uli, practiced sorcery and magic. She reluctantly agreed to their marriage, but first she gave him a warning: guard her well, because I can see that someday the winds will snatch her away from you. And so there we go. Terry in Scotland is bringing up more and more details, but I'm not going to read them. So Pennell, look away, and I won't read them out loud. Everybody else can read them if you want. But basically, the story comes full circle. It's a good one. Another really good story, and this is a story that Lono Music has a song about. It's Kua Paka'a. And if you go back to Lono Music's first video on his YouTube page, it is the Kua Paka'a, the story, the song of that. And that story, it's the winds of La Mano Mano or Ma'o Ma'o. It's the wind gourd of La Mano. It's a story about a wind gourd. Anyway, it's about this kid it's about this guy, Paka'a, and he gets exiled from the royal court. And so Paka'a has a son, Kua Paka'a, and he teaches his son all these sorcery ways, and they come up with this plan for revenge. And it is the most beautiful plan for revenge ever. And I'm not going to tell you what the revenge is. I'm not going to tell you how they did it, but it's just a little matter-of-fact story. And then Dad told him this, and then this happened, and then he did this, and then this happened, and then they did this, and then this happened, and then they blah blah, blah, and then this happened. It's very, it's a very straightforward story arc. But it also lays out in detail, like, the immaculate care and planning that it took to put all the pieces in place for the ultimate revenge. Was this revenge served cold? Yes. In fact, very much so. Indeed. Starving and cold served. Yes. So, so there you go. The revenge was brutal. And so, the wind gourd of La Mano Mano or Ma'o Ma'o, it's the wind gourd story, Kua Paka'a. Look it up, read about it. It's a good one. And Michael Anthony Smith, that's okay. Go ready for bed. Thank you so much for hanging out. We know that it is about 9 o'clock in your neck of the woods, and you are an early riser. So I'm super stoked that you could be here. And yes, we hope that you have happy dreams, Michael Anthony Smith. Oh, God, speaking of dreams. So yesterday, I don't really know what happened yesterday. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what happened. While I was sleeping, my phone, my cats somehow butt dialed Elaine from Hawaii. She's part of the Chatterbox crew, the Chatterbox crew. So I'm in bed sleeping, and my phone calls her, and as it turns out, I'm like talking in my sleep. Just wait, can you for a minute pause on that? Me? Talking in my sleep? Who would have thunk it, right? Yeah. So apparently I'm talking in my sleep, but she can't understand me. And so she's thinking I'm having a stroke of some sort, you know? So she's freaking the out. And so then she tries to call me back, I guess, and I didn't hear it. So then she calls or texts Shock, and then Shock's like trying to call me and text me, and I don't hear him. And so finally, like 3 hours later, Shock's calling again. She's like, "Are you having a stroke?" And I was like, "No, what?" You know, but yeah, so I have determined that even though I don't have a local emergency contact in my scheme of life, I clearly have an emergency plan. So my emergency plan is this. I'm going to call Elaine when I have a stroke. She's in Hawaii, right? And so then the Hawaii person's going to call Virginia. That's where Shock's at. And then Virginia is going to tell her bird. And her bird is going to call my cats. And then we're going to have them call 911. That is my emergency plan. Yesterday, we decided I needed one. And that's the one that developed. So, yeah. I'm not really sure. But it also reminded me, as I was thinking of like stuff that I do in my sleep, talking being one of them, I was reminded of this. Nighty night, I'm Michael Anthony Smith. I was reminded of this time where I was sleeping with my boyfriend, and we're like, you know, in bed, and I'm in this half state of like, I think I'm awake, but clearly as evidence turned out I'm not. Like, I think I'm kind of awake. I see his face. I see how we're sleeping. So I must be awake enough. And then suddenly I like punch him in his face. Like a knee jerk, just out of the blue. I didn't mean to. It just suddenly I just punch him in his face. And when I punched him in his face, that's when I woke up. Right? And he woke up and he's like, "What the?" And I was like, I don't know why I just punched you in the face. So my question for you is, does anybody punch people while they're sleeping? Does anybody do weird things when they're sleeping? Because apparently I have, in my memory, punched someone in the face. He probably deserved it, and I'm guessing that my subconscious was like, it's now or never. But and Pinnell, I got a pocket dial once and heard stomach gurgling. Oh no, that's kind of funny. And Shock, oh no, I really enjoy dreaming about being asleep. I'm so bad at sleeping that it's the only way I can experience it. You should have stayed sleeping. It's a better alibi. I know, right? I really should have, but I was equally as startled by the contact of my fist to his forehead, as he obviously was. I would have liked to pretend to stay asleep, I guess, but that was just, like I said, it was sort of a knee-jerk response, and then a knee-jerk wake up. Or maybe I just jerked all in one motion, and it all happened at once. I honestly don't really know, you know, because now that I think about it, you know how when you're in that half state of sleep and then suddenly your whole body spasms and jerks like you're falling or whatever. I wonder if I was like in a state like that, and that's what happened, and I jerked and woke up and hit him all in one thing. All I know is I did feel bad about punching him in the face. I did feel bad about it. You should say, no, wait, punch the soft bits, don't pinch the hard. No, it was definitely his forehead that I got. So he was no worse for the wear. He was confused, but he was no worse for the wear. And let's see here, not punching, but this morning I was dreaming about going to the Chihuly Museum before I woke up. Then I read about the damage in the Chihuly exhibit. Twilight Zone moment. Yes, the Chihuly exhibit lost, I think, like 20 pieces. This dude went on a rampage, and they're really lamenting. I'm actually kind of angry at how this story has been told in the media, because they're lamenting the $250,000 loss of quote-unquote irreplaceable Chihuly works. First off, nothing about Chihuly is irreplaceable. He's got minions that can make identical pieces over and over again. Second off, every single dollar value of anything that was lost has been insured and will be replaced monetarily or otherwise. So it's not a big deal. What the big deal about that story is that nobody's really telling is the dude wasn't just going after the security guards. He was mentally ill, I'm assuming, and he was chasing random people and throwing huge shards of broken glass at them. Like, there's very little coverage on what happened to the people near him and the injuries he caused them. It's all about the money and the Chihuly pieces. And frankly, I feel like that is the least of our flippin' worries. But for those of you who've been a regular on this stream, you also know that I don't like Dale Chihuly stuff at all. So this attitude shouldn't really be a surprise. And so let's see here. I used to move lots in bed, went sideways on the bed once. Pinnell, I have woken up with my head hanging off. Pinnell, you and I better not ever share a bed, because we will fight. Yeah, I've totally gone sideways. Absolutely. On more than one occasion. And Trail Dust, you can't punch your wife. Too many cats in between. And Puzzy Cat, all I know is when I get up, I have a lot more sleepy in my eyes than when than when I go to bed. Fair enough. I think in Hawaii they call it makapia is the sleep in your eyes, the makapia. And I remember that word from little kid time. And let's see here, Darlene, I slept with my grandson once, and he in the middle of the night sat up and smacked me and fell back down and fell asleep. It had to have been a dream, but ouch. I don't know why I find that so funny. Darlene, I really don't like the idea of you being hit, so the laughter is uncomfortable, but that's a funny story. I'm sure the little kid, I'm sure he was a tiny grandson, so it wasn't too much pain. But, oops, sorry, Grandma. And, Lady Tie-Dyed, your grandsons are both tornadoes in bed. Yeah, I was like that when I was a kid, too. I was like that forget the kid part. I was like that most of my life, too. I'm getting a little bit better about being a sleeper that doesn't tear the bed apart. But yeah, for the most part, most of my life, when you wake up, you're just looking at the remnants of the sheets and the covers and the blankets and wondering, how did it get like that? Like, what were you doing? And I asked him the next day if he remembered. Of course he didn't. Yeah. No smack grandma. Yeah, just, come on, kids. There's the what? Do we have to even outline that rule? I thought it went unsaid. Don't smack grandma. Once again, for those of you who are wondering, I am drinking my Pamplemousse LaCroix, whatever you call it. Pamplemousse, if you want to sponsor my stream, I would happily drink your sodas, your sparkling waters on stream. I have a lot of viewers, like 30. I'm sure that will help your sales in the long run. All right, so there we go. Terry in Scotland, my sister Cindy used to sleepwalk. She got up one night, went next door and fiddled around with stuff on the bedroom dresser. Our neighbor said she was mumbling to herself. Then she came home and went back to bed, never having awakened. Oh my God. So wait, your neighbor's door was just open? Your sister Cindy, she got up one night, went next door, fit around with stuff on a bedroom dresser. Our neighbor said she was mumbling to herself. Then she came home and went back to bed. Wow, that's crazy, dude. And then Tareen will lie on my bed until I go to sleep. I wonder why, because she doesn't want you to leave. She's protecting you from the night demons. And, oh, really, Picola T? My roommates years ago used to joke about holding a mirror above my face to check for breath. They said I slept too corpse-like, hands folded across my chest. I actually used to fall asleep like that a lot, too. And I was at a slumber party once, and I was laying like that, and I was just vaguely asleep, but not totally, and I could hear what was going on, and then I heard them talking about, like, oh my god, she really looks like a corpse like that. And so at that point, I just, like, sat up immediately. Jesus, because they thought I was asleep. I think they pissed their pants. I scared them so much. They screamed and jumped so loud because it looked like I was awakened from the dead. And because they had just been saying how dead I looked, and I looked like a corpse, like I was laying in a coffin. And then boom, suddenly I sit up and I said something like, I'm not in a coffin or whatever. And yeah, that was one of my funny memories as a little kid. And let's see here. Thursday has to lay his head on my chest every night before he falls asleep. Nice. Yeah, my cats don't necessarily have a pre-bed ritual, but in the morning time, after I go to the bathroom, but then come back in for an extra snoozle, that's when each of them are like, okay, I have to get on your chest right here, and I have to cuddle around your arm like that, and then blah, 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 and we'll be perfect. Both my cats have a little routine and spot in the way they cuddle. Ashes likes to wrap her arms and legs around my hand, and so my hand is on her belly, and she's just got me like that. And then Guinness likes to be up on my chest. Yes. Tiki spends half his day sleeping against me on the desk or whatever, but he doesn't sleep in your bed. Well, I guess he doesn't feel like he needs to protect you. You do your own heckin' protect. And let's see here. Darlene, Terry, my younger brother, used to sleepwalk too. One night he got up heading to the back door. My mom caught him, asked him, where are you going? He answered her, saying to the bathroom. She directed him to the bathroom. He did his business and went back to bed and didn't remember it the next day. And, oh, did I call him Guinness? I do that. I meant Dusty. Okay, so I used to have an orange cat and a red cat, and the orange cat's name was Whiskey, and the black cat's name... I did not used to have an orange cat and a red cat. I had an orange cat, and I had a black cat. The orange cat's name was Whiskey. Scotch whiskey, to be exact. The black cat's name was Guinness. They were brothers, sort of. They came from two different mothers, but the mothers both lived in the same home. We presume it was the same father, and they were born 4 days apart. So basically, the two mothers in that home had litters 4 days apart. All of those litters interspersed into one bigger litter, and they would both nurse off of all the moms and whatever. So essentially they were brothers, even though they weren't technically brothers. So anyway, those were my cats for a really long time. And Whiskey and Guinness, Whiskey and Guinness, Whiskey and Guinness, they're just the templates of pairs of cats in my brain. They're dead, but I find myself occasionally referring to Ashes and Dusty as Whiskey and Guinness. They don't look like whiskey and, well, they kind of look like Guinness, but anyway. That's why I said Guinness. I meant Dusty, or I meant Ashes. Whichever one I didn't say is the one I meant, so there you go. And who's my kitty's daddy? My kitty's daddy is a black cat, a stray black cat, in the neighborhood where the cats came from. But I don't think he's alive anymore, because my cats are like 10 years old now, and he would have been at least 10. And Trail Dust, do you need a scorecard to keep track of your cats? Not really. Because my cats right now are generally honed down. But in regards to my lifetime of cats, yeah, you would need a spreadsheet. You would need a spreadsheet for sure. For just the number of black cats alone, you would need a spreadsheet. But Leo, I haven't seen Leo in a few days. But we know that that doesn't mean anything. I also know from the food dish levels that Leo has been coming in and eating. Even if I'm not seeing him, he has been eating. Or somebody has, and I'm pretty sure it's Leo. So I haven't seen him in a few days, but we all know he's fine. And yes. Oh, Rick, you don't even know. Yes, Puzzy, he is out making more kitties. He is. And Rick, long-term memories are easy to recall. Finding your keys after you get home is a test. Are you making fun of me for a reason or anything? Are you referencing something that may or may not have happened to me? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Did I ever find my danged keys? Yes, actually, no. Shock, you know what? I didn't. You know who did, though? My keys were found. Yeah, they were found. They were found a week later. Okay, to catch everybody up, I drove myself home one night and managed to lose my keys while I was still in my car. I had to break into my own home because I couldn't find my keys. And so for a week, I had no keys. Finally, I went and spent $50 to replace all of my keys. And of course, the day after I spent $50 to replace all of my keys, I drove my car up to my espresso stand, the one that got knocked off the foundation, but it's open now. And my espresso girl, my barista, reached out and picked this clump of things off the top of the hood of the top of my car, the roof of my car, and said, "Did you want your keys on the roof of your car?" And I said, "No." And yeah, they'd been on the roof of my car for the week. I'd gone on the freeway. I'd driven to and from work doing 50 miles an hour easily multiple times. But yeah, they were just on the roof of my car. Why I put them on the roof of my car, I don't know, okay? We're not even gonna go there. But yeah, I put them on the roof of my car. And so yeah, for a week, they were gone. And of course, and I said to the locksmith, as I was paying $50 to replace my keys, I was like, I do realize that this is the offering that the key gods have been waiting for to reveal where my keys have been left. And yeah, they were they were on top of my car. They were somewhere safe, I guess. Nobody grabbed them. I mean, shoot, dude, if somebody had noticed them, honestly, like, let's just say I was a stranger and I was walking through a parking lot and, like, I saw keys on someone's car, I would just be like, well, I could probably steal this car now because I'm guessing that these keys belong to this car. And if I were inclined to try it, I would have tried the keys and I would have found that this is indeed the keys to this car and I could have stolen it. I probably wouldn't have. In fact, if I found a situation like that in the parking lot, I probably would hang out by the car until the owner came back. But that's me. Other people might do what the other thing is that I thought I might do, which is steal the car. And let's see here. I keep my car keys in the car when it's in the garage, and I have a key rack for when I park in the driveway. I always have a spare key. Yeah, I usually have a spare. Well, actually, I did have a spare key. It's just that I had to get inside my house to get the spare key, which is why I had to break into the house to get the key. Yeah. Yes. And oh no, Andy mentioned you inspired one of his videos. Oh yeah, yep, that was it. Yes. And let's see here. Wait, are you sure? For he has snuck up on you when you and didn't know. Oh, when you're talking about Leo? Yes. No, I am actually not sure, Darlene. Leo could very well be in the house right now. He could be in the house right now. And I wouldn't know. Yeah. And let's see here. Hold on. Let's see here. Well, oh yeah. Let's see here. Trail dust. People be too embarrassed to be seen in your truck. It's safe. Honestly, my 2004 Subaru is like unwashed and it's got random stuff all in it. I mean, my car's not dirty, but it's also not clean. Anybody who is just who would be scoping cars out to break into, they would look at mine and just be like, "Oh, they don't have anything I want." Like it. They don't have a fancy nothing in here. There's gonna be nothing fancy in that car. So my car, let's see here. With, not in my car. Oh wait, what? Okay, hold on. Oh, okay. I live in a small town, and you have a very distinctive looking car. Yes, you do. Your keys are in the ignition, except when I go into the city. Right. That makes sense. Well, yeah, totally, dude. Your car. I mean. If your car was seen in your town without you behind the wheel, people would be like, "Oh my God, did she have a stroke? Is she okay? Did someone just steal her car?" Because, yeah, everybody, for all y'all who've not seen Lady Tie-Dye's car, trust me, it's an art car. You would know it when you come to it. Okay. And let's see here. Hey, Sue Honda, good to see you. Another statter story. Well, actually, we're talking about Lady Tie-Dye's car right now. But yes, the time that I lost my keys by putting them on the roof of my car and then forgetting that I put them on the roof of my car for a week. No, actually, I didn't forget for a week. I just didn't know. Then my barista found them for me, and I was like, "Oh, cool. Now I've got an extra set of spares." And Trail Dust, your GMC has major rust holes. That's too bad, because rust is sort of a cancer on the vehicles. And let's see here. My Mustang could have used a good car wash, pollen all over it. Yeah, I've got a lot of pollen and a lot of moss dust, I guess, for lack of a better term. And yeah, Rick, that reminds me. Yeah, Andy said that he had a friend who used to live in a really bad neighborhood, I think like in California. And so when he left his car parked at night, he would open up the glove compartment, throw stuff out onto the seat, and like make it look like somebody had already rifled through. So it wouldn't be worth breaking into because someone else already did. Which is kind of smart, actually. And let's see here. Oh, right. When your kids moved back last summer. Yeah, everyone did double takes. I bet. And okay, Puzzy, yes. What does everyone drive and how much is gasoline in your area? I filled up the other day and it was $4.49 a gallon. This is for the cheapest, $4.49 a gallon. But because I got it at Fred Meyer and I had points, I was able to get it for $4.39 a gallon. And I drive a 2004 5-speed manual Subaru Forester. And let's see here, $3.49 a gallon. 2025 Subaru Legacy. I'm so jealous of Darlene's car. And let's see here, about $3.49 a gallon. And Toyota RAV Hybrid, $4.50 a gallon in Arizona. And let's see here, the UK price is $7.10 per US gallon. By the way, the UK price, I think, is not done in gallons. I think in the UK they sell it by liters. But you know what? Now that I say that out loud, that's a Canadian thing. And in the UK, they might sell it by gallons. Hey, Terry, in Scotland, the UK, do they sell their gas by liter? Or do they sell it by gallon? Gas, that is. And then Shock 2014 manual Subaru, $3.35 last time I filled up. I don't drive, says Pinnell. No idea what the gas is up here in Toronto. And Pussycat, and yeah, no, Pinnell didn't say it like that, by the way. Pussycat said $4.55 for premium in Florida. Lady Tie-Dyed, feckin' too much, $6 a gallon. Yep, there you go. And Andy's tip, that's going to be my next step. Clean the interior just so it looks like a respectable thief only just went through it. Precisely. And I did derive a 2002 Toyota Camry before this Subaru Legacy, says Darlene. And Puzzycat, it might have even gone up since the last time you checked. And Terry in Scotland confirming what I assumed. They do sell it by the liter in the UK, but that is the gallon equivalent price. Got it. And speaking of cats, I have again got a cat draped over my left elbow. And let's see here. Trail dust, $3.59 per gallon. Needed 24 gallons. Yep. Honda Accord, says C Honda. $4.75 a gallon. And so the main reason it's so expensive is the 20% value-added tax and the fuel duty. And Puzzycat does point out something good. Check your tire pressure. It's always too low. That is really true. Tire pressure does need to be checked way more often than all of us check it, I'm sure. It just has a way of leaking with time. It has a way of the air, literally how cold it is that day affects the air temperature, the tire pressure in your vehicle. So yeah, for sure, that's something I need to do. But when it comes to taxes and the like, oddly enough, the state of Washington is the highest. The state. Blah 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 blah. You quote me on that. Of all the states, of all 50 states in the union, Washington State has the highest taxes on gasoline per gallon. There's federal taxes, but then there's also state taxes. And state taxes in the state of Washington, or the state taxes that the state for Washington collects, is higher than California taxes, higher than Hawaii taxes, which is why we have some pretty expensive gas here. Even though I said that I bought my gas for $4.49 a gallon, 2 blocks down the road, it's being sold for $5.99 a gallon. So different gas stations are definitely taking advantage of the current news and the implications for the oil reserves, because I find it hard to believe that there's a legitimate economic reason for $4.49 when you're at 143rd Street and $5.99 when you're at 156th. That's 13 blocks. That's 13 blocks difference on the same exact road. $4.49, $5.99. That's just ridiculous. And yes, Lady Tie-Dyed, in the last, I would say 6 to 8 months, maybe the last year, Washington State surpassed California as the highest taxes collected per gallon for gas, and that's just such a hard thing to hear, because California has always been. Everybody looks at California as, so glad I'm not being taxed like them, and now it's just like, we're being taxed more than them. And our main road corners are usually far more expensive. Yeah, for sure. It is. Yeah, you definitely pays to go around the block and see where things are headed. And yes, possibly one guy bought a supply before the prices got even higher, but I don't think so, because they're all coming from the same. They're all getting delivered by the same truck. And I realize there's contracts prior to and blah, 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 but I don't know. That's like $1.50 difference, dude. 13 blocks, right? But yeah, anyway, so, yes, so Lady Tie-Dyed, if you feel a little bit better today after learning that California isn't as high taxes as you thought, that makes me happy. All right, according to my clock, we've got 1 minute left till the bottom of the hours. That means I'm going to have to speed talk the rest of the thing. So, thank you so much for coming here. Thank you so much for biddy-biddying. Thank you so much for resubscribing or gift subscribing. And thank you so much for my moderators. Thank you so much for chatting and bringing everything to the forefront, because we had nothing to talk about today. And I hope to see you 6 p.m. West Coast time in the Secret Squirrel Cinema Saturday Space, so we can watch a movie about war. That's right, we're going to watch MASH. MASH, the original MASH. MASH before, the television show. The one that isn't very funny. So there you go. I hope you caught all that. See you Saturday, 6 p.m. West Coast time at the Map Statter Place. And we'll be